From the News Channel 5 Network, this is SportsLine.
Hey there, SportsLine on your television. Steve Layman here with you. Glad you are here with us on this Wednesday night. I had to get it all straight. Days running together with so many hockey games out there. Wednesday night here on News Channel 5. Plus, between games 3 and 4 of the Western Conference Final, the Predators leading the Ducks 2-1 after a stirring come-from-behind win last night at Bridgestone Arena. Another phenomenal atmosphere at the Stone. Smashville just living up to the billing and then some last night, and frankly willing the Preds back in that game in the third period. They had played well, but the Ducks had made the most of their chances. It was a 1-0 game going into the third period, but the crowd just stayed on its feet, kept cheering, and the Preds just came out buzzing in the third. Filip Forsberg tied the game. He continues to be brilliant in the playoffs. Preds kept coming and kept coming. Looked like Colton Sissons was going to be the hero with the go-ahead goal. That got waved off as Zolnierczyk fell into John Gibson. They waved it off. Then it looked like Ryan Johansson was going to be the hero. That got waved off because Mattias Ekholm was sent to the box for goaltender interference. But the Preds just kept coming. They killed off the penalty. The crowd kept cheering. Finally, they get a chance on the power play where they had been woeful. They had failed to score on 15 consecutive power plays. They had failed on all 11 attempts in this series against the Ducks. But you just felt it coming. That's the way it was going. The building was not going to be denied last night, and neither were the Predators. And in that final power play, they kept the Ducks on the ice. They tired them out, and Roman Josi was able to put it away. Game-winning goal with 2 minutes and 43 seconds to play. And I've said for a long time now that Smashville in the playoffs is consistently the loudest venue in sports I have ever seen. And on the very short list of environments in terms of just sheer decibel level of the loudest places I have ever been. Very close to the top. Last night, when Roman Josi scored, and in the final few minutes of that game, as the Preds milked off the clock to win and reclaim the series lead, that was the loudest of any arena I have ever been in. And I'm not sure it's close. It was absolutely deafening in Bridgestone Arena last night. An incredible home ice advantage. The Predators have now won 10 consecutive playoff games dating back to a Game 4 loss against the Ducks in the first round a year ago. That is the longest streak of consecutive playoff wins at home since 1997 and 98. And the last team to do it was the Detroit Red Wings during their run of back-to-back Stanley Cup championships. This is unprecedented stuff in this market, but it is historic stuff for all of hockey. And that's what this run has really meant. It is special stuff that we are witnessing right now. And when you watch games like last night, it just kind of is starting to feel like there's something magical about this run. They're playing phenomenally well. Pekka Rinne has been the best goaltender in the playoffs. Filip Forsberg has been a star. Ryan Johansson has elevated his game to be a clear top-line center who can match up against Jonathan Toews or Vladimir Tarasenko or Ryan Getzlaf or even a Ryan Kessler, as annoying as it might be. He's proven himself to be that good. The Preds have gotten depth. Their defensemen are the best in the playoffs. There's a lot of reasons why this team is doing what it's doing right now with 10 wins versus just 3 losses in the playoffs. That said, When you watch a game like last night where they have a bunch of opportunities and they don't go and they're down, and you start to, you don't want to, but you start to imagine, man, if they lose this game and go down 2-1 in the series and home ice goes back to Anaheim, what's that look like? You start to let that maybe creep in, or at least entertain the idea for a second. And then you watch a third period like that where the building is bananas and Forsberg steps up and ties it, and Yossi steps up and wins it, and they kill off a penalty and they end the game and reclaim the series lead. It's hard to not just feel like there's a little bit of destiny there, or a little bit of magic behind this playoff run. I was talking to a couple other media members who've been around Nashville for a long time last night, and they compared it to 2000 in the playoffs. The Titans going towards the Super Bowl, where after the Music City Miracle, it just felt like a team that was going to go the distance. That's kind of how the Preds just have a feel now. And I've said it before right here on this program, that the difference between 2000 and the Titans and what we're seeing now in the just absolute pandemonium about this team and the love affair of the city with Stand With Us signs everywhere and bumper stickers on cars and everybody wearing gold, is the fact that the run lasts so long in the Stanley Cup playoffs. You know, it's 2 months start to finish to win a Stanley Cup title. It was 4 weeks start to finish for the Titans in the Super Bowl run. And that extra time just allows so much more to build. And then the other part of that is you forget that the Music City Miracle, as amazing and as big as that game was, that was a wild card weekend game in the playoffs. And that was the only time the Titans played at home during that postseason. They then had to go to Indianapolis, and then they had to go to Jacksonville, and then ultimately to the Super Bowl in Atlanta. So the fans here in Nashville, as crazy as it got and as excited as they were, they only got one game in the Coliseum, in the stadium. Preds fans have already had 6 opportunities to go cheer this team on. And boy, have they cheered this team on at the start of these playoffs. They're going to get another one tomorrow night. And they're going to get at least one more after that. Maybe at least 2 more after that if they can close this series out into the Stanley Cup final. I mean, they could play as many as 5 more games in Smashville before this is all said and done. The length of it, the fact that you can be so involved because every round, at least some part of it, is played in your building, is really something. And you also get the feeling that as people keep showering praise on Bridgestone Arena and on Smashville for how loud it is and how bright it is and how amazing it is, the ante just sort of keeps getting raised and the building keeps delivering. From the national anthem singers beforehand to the towel wavers. I mean, last night you had the entire Titans offensive line chugging tall boy beers as Marcus Mariota swung the towel around to start the game off. It is an absolute party atmosphere there. From Carrie Underwood to Luke Bryan to Keith Urban last night. I mean, country stars coming out for amazing national anthems. You have stars waving the towel to get things going. You have a delirious crowd, 17,000 strong, dressed in gold and cheering at the top of their lungs. It is a remarkable environment, and I'm telling you, when I went to Game 4, the closeout game against the Blackhawks, I wondered if it could possibly get louder. And then I went to Game 3 against the Blues, and I wondered if it could possibly get louder. And then I went to the closeout game against the Blues in Game 6, and it topped it. And at that point I said, I'm never doubting this place again. It is that incredible. And anytime I walk in here, I will not be surprised at what I see from the home team or from these fans. And last night was a scene I have never seen before. It was louder than Game 6 of the Blues series. That's just a fact. It was louder than any place I think I've ever been in terms of a sporting venue. But even outside, Broadway was completely packed. The plaza was packed, shoulder to shoulder people there watching the game, which was going on inside. They were watching it on the big screen with fellow fans. You had people there. And now they've got TVs up in Walk of Fame Park in the grassy area. They had a big crowd there, which I can only imagine is going to grow tomorrow night as long as the weather holds, and will grow for Game 6, and will grow for the Stanley Cup Final. This is going to continue to grow. The TV ratings get better and better. The crowds get livelier and livelier. And seemingly the Predators are playing better and better as this grows. And that to me is why this is just starting to feel really magical, like this could be the year. And boy, would that be fun. Where were you last night during the game? Were you lucky enough to get inside or go to one of those parties outside downtown? Did you stay at home and watch? What were your impressions of the game last night, the Preds comeback, and what do you think about this series now? Up 2-1 on what are becoming the rival Anaheim Ducks. Now 10 games in the playoffs just over the last calendar year. Phone lines are open tonight, 737-7767. We'd love to hear from you on this discussion. And we'll also get into some Predators sound after last night's win as well. Stay tuned. You're watching SportsLine right here on News Channel 5+.